Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working together through each of the ABRSM Theory Grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets and you can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You'll also find a page with links to all of my YouTube video tutorials and you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam and also how to make the best use of your time on exam day when you're working through your exam paper. So if you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find it's all there. If you can give me a like, that would be super. And please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. There's lots more in store. And so now we're going to continue with the questions of Paper B from the 2015 Grade 4 past papers. So if you turn with me to page 10, and we can carry on with this. So we're looking at question 3, and all of the questions below will keep referring back to this little extract here. Now this first question, A, again shows us some Italian and French terms. These will be presented to you in multiple choice format in the new exam, but we'll just go ahead and answer this question because it's good revision purposes. So let's crack on. So we need to underline one word from the list below that has a similar meaning to largo. So first of all, we need to decide what largo means. Largo means slowly. So this French word, I won't even attempt to pronounce that, means moderate. Lent is slowly. Ralentir is slacken. And vif is lively. So actually the closest to largo is going to be lent. So it's just good to have a good old crack at revising those. Next question, draw a circle around 4 notes next to each other that form part of a chromatic scale. So we're going to be looking for at least a couple of accidentals to give us a clue where to start. We've got a key signature of F sharps and C sharps to remember as well. And if you find it difficult to visualise, you can always quickly sketch out a piano keyboard. Even if you're not a piano player, it just makes it easier to visualise those chromatic steps. So we're looking for semitones, so this looks like a possible place. So we've got G, and let's have a look at that. So we've got G to G sharp to A sharp, so there's our 4 notes. It actually carries on to B as well. So we could either go 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Oh, we need to draw a circle, don't we? Yeah. Or we can actually go 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So either one of those will do. So that's that question answered. So let's look now at the next question. The notes bracketed in bars 3 to 5 from here to here. These 2 notes bracketed, all of these under the bracket, form the scale of B minor. We need to describe which form is used though. Is it melodic or harmonic? So we need to notice what accidentals there are to raise this. So we know that B minor has the key signature of F sharps and C sharps. However, we also need to explain this A sharp here. The G sharp is gone now, so we're just explaining the A sharp. So if we think A is the 7th degree of the scale, that then explains this as the harmonic minor. If the G sharp was there as well, then we'd say it was melodic because that would be the raised 6th and 7th, but that's not. It's just the A sharp, so that's the raised 7th, and so that's harmonic minor. There we go. Let's crack on. So we need to rewrite the first note of bar 11. It's marked with a little arrow. And we need to make sure that it sounds at the same pitch, but we've got to change clef. So we've got to also add this key signature. So let's get the key signature in place. So we want 2 sharps, C, D, E, F sharps and C sharps. There we go. And so now if we use middle C as an anchor point, here is middle C, and we're actually on the C above that. So here's middle C, so we need to be an octave above that. 1, 3, 5, 7 is the ledger line, 8 is the next door note, and it needs to be a dotted quaver, a dotted 8th note. There we go. Now we need to add rest or rests, that's the really important bit, in bar 5 where there's a little star, so we need to complete this bar with rests. So let's look what our time signature is. We're in 6/8, which means we should have 2 groups of 3. There we go. And so we need to reflect that. So we can't just fill the bar with the appropriate rests. We need to show each new beat. So I'm going to start at the end here. So here's a dotted crochet beat. So there's our first group of 3. 1, 2, 3 quaver beats is what we're adding up to. And then here we've got 1, 2 beats. So we need an extra quaver or 8th note beat to finish that group, and so we can see our 2 groups of 3. It wouldn't be accurate if we were to write a minim rest because that's in simple time, whereas we need to show compound time. There we go. So next one. So question B asks us to write as a breve or a double whole note the enharmonic equivalent of the first note of the melody. So let's see what we've got here. So this is an F sharp, and it's not the F sharp just above middle C, it's the F sharp above that. So just make sure we get the correct octave. And again, this is where the piano keyboard can help. So F sharp, we could call that G flat. Alternatively, we could call it E double sharp, so either one of those will do. So just making sure we're in the right octave, so it's not this one, it's up here. So we could have G as a breve flat. Alternatively, you could have E double sharp. Either one of those will do. So let's move on. So question B2 asks us to rewrite bar 8 using notes and rest of twice the value. So we've got to include a new time signature and double up every note in value. So let's have a look. Our time signature at the moment is 6/8, which is 6 quaver beats, 6/8 notes. So if we double that, we want 6 beats, but they've got to be crotchets or quarter notes. So our new time signature is going to be 6/4 to show. And then let's look at the notes that we've got in bar 8. What we're going to be doing then is we're going to be losing this lower beam, so they will become just one beam with an extra tail there. That will become a crochet rest. We will lose that beam as well. They'll become crotchets or quarter notes. So I'm just going to get the note heads in place first of all. So just keep glancing up to the top of the page. We're going to have an A, that's dotted, B, C, 2 ledger lines. So I can pop that rest in, we've already done that thinking, and then B, A, G sharp. And so we know that we're removing the beam, so these two will be just one beam, and then there's the extra little tail because we've got the dot. So this will now have no beam at all, and that's become a crochet or a quarter note, and so also have these. And then we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crochet beats, 6 quarter notes. So we know that that's correct. So let's move on. So now we're asked to draw a circle around 2 notes next to each other that are a perfect fifth apart. So we're looking for either jumping 2 lines or 2 spaces to get the fifth. So that's too far. That's too far. These are all too close. That's only a fourth, so that won't do. They're all too close. Should find one soon, getting near the end. That's a third. Here we go. So 1, 3, 5. Don't forget this bottom note here is a C sharp. So just as C to G would be a perfect fifth. Just a parallel movement, C sharp to G sharp, shows that's also a perfect fifth. So C sharp to G sharp. And actually it goes the other way as well, C sharp to G sharp. So you could either have that to that or that to that, and they are a perfect fifth. There we go. So let's look at the next question. Give the numbers of 2 complete bars that have the same rhythm. So we've just got a little bit of observation to do here. So we're looking for 2 bars of the same rhythm. And just visually glancing through, we can see bars 8 and 9. Rest 3, yep. So bars 8 and 9. So turning the page to page 11, but keep this to hand just in case we need to refer back. It tends to just be general questions here though. So we're asked to name 2 standard orchestral instruments, 1 string and 1 woodwind, which will normally use the treble clef that could play this melody. So we're looking for a string instrument and a woodwind instrument that are quite comfortable in this high treble range. So the string instrument could be the violin. That's the high string instrument. Alternatively, I guess you could argue that the harp is also a string instrument and would play comfortably at that range. The woodwind instrument would be flute, or we could say clarinet. That's also comfortable up there, and so is the oboe, so any one of those would do. Let's have a look at the next question. Now we're asked to name the lowest sounding member of the orchestral brass family. Well, that would be the tuba, the big tuba, or I guess you could say bass tuba also. So moving on. Answer true or false to each of these statements. A bassoonist may sometimes be asked to play pizzicato. Well, that's false, because pizzicato means pluck the strings, and a bassoonist plays a wind instrument. A bassoon is a wind instrument, so there are no strings to pluck, so that's not possible, so that's false. Now then, a double bass player may be asked to play consordini with mute, and that is true because they can place like a mute on the bridge, so that's true, just to dampen the strings a little. There we go then, that's the end of that question. I do hope that's been helpful to you. I hope it's helping you in your studies. I hope that you're enjoying working through this and getting to grips with this. I'm certainly enjoying working through it with you. If you can give me a like, that would be super. Please do subscribe to my channel to keep updated. And please also do visit sharonbill.com and make use of all of the resource and information that's available to help you there. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.